Hello, I'm Jared Just Scored, and on this video, I want to answer a long-standing question. Who is the strongest main villain in the original Yu-Gi-Oh? Unlike a lot of other shonen anime and manga, there is no clear divide in power. Of course, someone like Joey can't beat Yugi, right? Well, generally you would say yes, but the divide is a lot smaller than, say, Dragon Ball Z, where it's obvious how the totem pole is arranged. So, with this series, I have come up with what I believe to be the definitive way to power scale any Yu-Gi-Oh character, by measuring their effectiveness against each other and their effectiveness in the TCG. How will I do that? Well, let's get into the rules and criteria so we can figure out who is the biggest baddie of them all. Rules. 1 deck per character. I'm generally going to use the cards they played at their strongest, but all cards they use are free game for this. 2. Note that I said cards they use, so this excludes cards that they did not get or support they got later which they never used in the series. 3. Also, if they happen to appear in GX in the case of Pegasus, I'm excluding that support because that does not involve the original show. With that, I will be constructing a 40 card deck using these limitations for each character and making them as competitive as possible, while still remaining true to the character. Though I may take some liberties if they are a couple cards short, they need to at least have 75% of their archetype or deck in the TCG to qualify, which is roughly around 30 cards. Also, these decks are not restricted to the 1-of rule that is so prevalent in the anime series. Basically, assume they drop in with decks that they have available from Duel Monsters era, or any cards from Duel Monsters that were printed since then. Also, I'm including the filler arcs as well, as long as they have enough support in the TCG to qualify. Which is why I'm excluding characters such as Darts until his archetype is officially released. Everyone else is fair game. Going along with this, and I know this will be a point of contention, I'm excluding ban cards. This series will operate by the most current ban list in effect during this video's release. That being the June 2020 ban list right now. Finally, as I must reiterate, I'm power scaling them based on their effectiveness in the TCG. While their cards are fine and good, I want to see if they actually existed with no outside interference or special magical powers, who would be the strongest villain. So with all of that put into perspective, let's take a look at our villains. Pegasus plays a Toon/Relinquish deck based around a control strategy, while abusing the effect of Toon World for many benefits. Now, I don't consider Pegasus a particularly skilled player, and his deck is very unbalanced. The loss of Millennium Eye hinders his playing significantly. As you can see, he barely has any traps, and he needs to draw Toon World or Toon Table of Contents if he hopes to do anything relevant. He does have a few beat sticks, but it's nothing insane. Hell, I even threw him a bone and gave him his Movie and Waking the Dragon support, but his deck is very much hindered without Toon Kingdom and the rest of his cards from GX, giving a very interesting but potentially easily disruptible deck. Merrick plays a Dark/Raw deck focused around the consistent summoning of the Winged Dragon Raw, with a potential backup strategy based around disrupting the opponent's plays and beating them down with large beat sticks. Now, going on with the character himself, Merrick just straight up isn't a good duelist. He nearly lost to Joey for fuck's sake. However, he has access to incredibly powerful cards like Egyptian God Slime, the 3 forms of Raw, a lot of big level 4 beat sticks, and several burning and stalling cards, giving his actual deck a lot of versatility and strength to compensate for his lack of skills in the anime. Merrick gets a lot of points because of Egyptian God Slime, due to its essential immunity and facilitation of Raw, along with having good generic beat sticks and mirror force, make Merrick a really good contender for this. Noah plays 2 decks in the anime, but his second, and by far the better deck, which we'll be taking most of the cards from, is his Spirit deck, which is focused around gaining life points and manipulating the field. Spirits are an amazing archetype, which I personally love. Unfortunately, it's Duel Monster era Spirits, which lack the utility that some of their later support gives them. I even added Shinato to give Noah a potentially easily summonable boss monster that the deck desperately needed. However, the lack of field presence at all or ways to take advantage of them being spirits, and the random miscellaneous additional monsters he has, hurts the deck significantly. Siegfried plays a Valkyrie deck that focuses on banishing the opponent's cards and swarming the field for quick OTKs. Siegfried is in a much better place than many of the other villains on this list. With his entire archetype coming out relatively recently in Shouts of Valhalla, the entire deck got a massive boost from its anime counterpart, leading to a deck that, while not necessarily competitive, is leaps and bounds above many of the decks in Duel Monsters. The only two negative things that I can say in Siegfried's deck is one, he has exactly one normal summonable monster excluding Ride of the Valkyries, which significantly hurts his deck, and that he has few, if any, archetypal cards that are legal. So, against many other decks, he may fall flat due to generic staples. Besides that, he definitely has a lot of things going for him in this contest. Bakura plays many decks throughout his run of the show, but his Occultism deck seems to be his most successful, which is a primarily Fiend deck based around Destiny board and using stun effects and alternate win conditions to try to sneak out the game, with Dark Necrofear as his boss monster and a backup strategy. Now, when making the decks for this video, I originally thought he would just be a throwaway. However, with the Rules of Power Scaling video, I think he may have more tricks than you think, with Doom Caliber locking out effects, Jowgen locking out special summons, and the protective spells he plays like Dark Door and Dark Sanctuary. Along with his burn cards, Bakura plays a janky version of an anti-meta deck, and that's not bad. He has searching and a ton of defense, so Bakura may not be the underdog you think he might be. So upon looking at each of the villains from Duel Monsters, we have to look at which deck would top all the others. While the competition was relatively stiff in this one, with Pegasus and Noah having access to ritual monsters, Merrick and Bakura having burn effects up the wazoo, with interruption from Lava Golem, Sphere Mode, and Morphing Jar respectively. However, only one villain can stand atop the baddies. So, the villain with the best deck in the original Duel Monsters is Merrick Ishtar. I will say this shocked me when building with the decks, as I really thought Valkyries had this, but Merrick has a lot of good staples, good beat sticks, a lot of ways to take care of random boss monsters, and the introduction of Egyptian God Slime gives him an easily summonable boss monster. It's archaic, yes, but compared to the other decks in Duel Monsters, Merrick has the absolute strongest deck as is. Second place will go to Siegfried, which I hate to do, but as I'm sure you've already extrapolated, he has one normal summonable monster, and is a bit too reliant on drawing Ride of the Valkyries to make his deck work. Compared to the slow deck of Duel Monsters, I'm sure he could draw it and hopefully OTK, but it is a bit too unstable compared to the generic strength of Merrick's monsters. Which makes me think, being in second place is such an appropriate place for Siegfried, considering that's his entire problem in the show is being second place always. Once in second place, always in second place, I guess. Pegasus gets the bronze medal. The use of Toon Mask is a huge boon for Pegasus, allowing him to summon his larger monster straight from the deck, and there is an Ash Blossom inside. With the additional control elements of Relinquish, Pegasus had a much better deck than I originally thought, so third place is a perfect place for the creator of Duel Monsters. Bakura gets fourth place. While his deck has many stun cards and the access to 3 Dark Necrofear and Morphing Jar gives his deck some desperately needed speed, when he draws badly, it shows, and needing to rely on a field spell that only works 50% of the time hurts it even more. The ability to burn out the opponent with Dark Sanctuary and 2 to 3 copies of Chain Energy is a blast, and I do like Bakura as a character, but I have to remain objective and his deck is just not the best, unfortunately. And in fifth place, as I'm sure you could have guessed, is Noah Kaiba. To be fair, his deck was destined to do the worst because he only had one, technically 2 duels to fill out his cards. But that's no excuse. His lack of field presence, and what field presence he does have, is Giant fucking Soldier of Stone and Giant Rex. Yeah, Noah safely has the weakest deck in Duel Monsters. So that was my video talking about how I power scale the characters in Yu-Gi-Oh! If you guys are interested in this series and want me to do more of these, leave a like and maybe subscribe. I'd appreciate the hell out of it. Do you guys think my placing is accurate for these characters? Put in the comment section below. If you guys want to refute my point, that's what the comment section is there for. Otherwise, I'm Jared from Jared Just Scored. I'll talk to you guys later.